All right, trying, testing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. At least
I love it. A little picture.
What mic are you using?
Oh, that's my necklace mic. Is it going bad? I can switch mics.
It's fine. It's fine.
Let me switch. It'll take me 5 seconds.
Okay. Old Gus says Dorito got angry. Oh, of course he did. Of course he did. It's because every person who's been talking about the Discord AI bots.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, now I gotta turn my mic on.
But your mic is on.
Nope. Hold on. Okay. Now I just can't hear chat this time, but I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
sorry, that was
cool.
me avoiding a feedback loop and everything.
Understandable.
All right, so I am going to mount the troops because you have asked a very important question, and you are all vital and correct in asking it.
Yeah, would you like to... Okay, I was about to say, would you like to articulate the question?
Yes, how do we keep the positive spirits, the kindness in when the horrors of everything you're reading? Because I've read everything you've read. Chat's read everything you've read. We all are aware that the world is on fire. And here's the thing. Here is the absolute best news. Step 1 doesn't suck. Step 1 is hanging out with your friends. It's the basics, though. It's the dribbling of the basketball. It's learning how to juggle with the little the floaty things. If you can't do this, you can't do any of the other stuff. I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate that, though, as to why it's a good thing. Or help me out here.
All right, so let me go ahead and give you. I am not a liberal. You guys know that. But let me go ahead and give you the most liberal position possible. The most lukewarm words you'll ever hear. Existing is resisting. Existence is resistance. Being able to go out, have friends, and thrive is a part of resisting the current regime. It sounds stupid and it sounds fanciful, but you cannot fill anybody else's cup if yours is empty.
Thank you for that too, as well, because it also reminded me of something you were saying about the whole, when we break bread with others, we get to debate with them and everything. All of that is true. All of that is very, very true. But the other big thing is people cannot turn a blind eye to someone they've broken bread with. Even if you don't have the debate, just breaking bread builds empathy. And right now, we're going to need to build those banks.
Bohemian Lucy says, but I don't have friends that are political. Yes, you do. I'm gonna give pushback on that. Yes, you do. Because you say that your friends are not political. No, they are not political yet. They are not political yet. Everything, every single right that you have right now, as it gets threatened, becomes more and more political. Also, I'm fairly certain if you have a friend who is a woman, their rights were already threatened. They are already political. They're just trying to ignore it.
I'm going to push back in a different way. If they're not political, and if a trans person's in a group and it's a non-political interaction, you've also just normalized yourself as non-political. By being with people in a setting that's not, hey, I'm here to teach you this political thing, but rather, hey, I'm here with baked goods and they're delicious, you now are their normal neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So breaking bread doesn't have to be political, even if it is political.
You don't get a right-winger on your side by introducing yourself as a left-winger. You get a right-winger on your side by introducing yourself as Tom, or Martha, or Steve. Not Brian, though. Every Brian's a goddamn asshole.
Huh. It's funny because my two favorite comic book authors are both Brian's, but every character in every of their books are assholes.
Well, there you go.
Brian K. Vaughan and Brian O'Malley, Scott Pilgrim, Brian Lee O'Malley. All assholes. Everyone's an asshole in those series.
The only people who don't see Scott and his motivations as being kind of a misogynistic asshole are also misogynistic assholes.
Absolutely true. It's like a big tell of yourself.
But you don't get people, let me put it this way, you don't get people on your side by shaming them for their political views. You get people on your side by opening up to them and being vulnerable about the things you're worried about. You get in a conversation.
I'm going to go a step further. Here's how you really get people on your side. Here's the most simple. Again, right now, I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm trying to do is cut things in half, smaller steps.
Okay.
And to get people on your side, even before you have the discussion and everything, God, you've seen Ted Lasso, right?
Nope.
No. Okay. Well, then let me tell you the absolute number one secret to get anyone to side with you. Bake for them. Learn to bake. Some basic baked treats are amazing for winning someone to your side.
Actually, I gave them all beef jerky in my case, but you know, same thing, same idea.
No one hates the person who brings them food.
No, they don't.
And food is a natural, communal thing.
Hell,
You can't invite someone over to watch a football game that you don't know. Like, I totally get that, but you can invite them over to eat the wings. People get that.
you know what also works? And this is a thing that we've been doing at my LGS for years now. Every time the Magic tournament is over, we all go to Taco Mac together. And it's not a small group. It's a group of about 20 to 25 people. And we do it every single Saturday. You break bread with everyone there. They're no longer just your opponent that you're pissed at that you've been dealing with every weekend. They're now that person who cracked a laugh having mozzarella sticks with you.
Absolutely. I love that so much. Seriously, that's so cool. I don't know if I've ever had this discussion with you, but I've been to houses of worship of all kind. One of my absolute favorite will always be meeting houses with the Quakers. Because the Quakers, meeting with them is an hour of shutting the fuck up, followed by an hour of eating food. It's fantastic.
Lenaria says, used to do that after LARPs. Missed that? If you miss it, do it again.
Yes. And don't be afraid to be the first person to just start small. Just bake for someone who you don't think is going to be able to bake for you back. And maybe they're not going to say it. Just literally do something for someone just to start it. And here's the other big thing. Don't just do it once. Don't just do it 5 times. Do it 10 times, 100 times. This should be a thing that you do.
Lenaria says the Quakers seem chill to a degree. To a degree. A thing to note whenever you are with any group of religious people of any kind, you may be with the chill group of them, and tomorrow you may find the not chill group of them. It's that way with everything. Like, y'all know that one of my best friends is a pagan, Ocean Keltoy. However, y'all also have seen me make content against the YSCE, who use the exact same set of religious principles to further the needs of the Aryan race. You will find the shit and the shine.
That being said, I will actually give the Quakers some props. They are one of the few groups I have seen who have effectively used peace. And I very rarely give peace its props. Did I ever tell you the story of how my meeting house that I was going to got firebombed?
Oh?
So, the Chestnut Hill Meeting House in Philadelphia got firebombed by the Union. What happened is the meeting house themselves, they were going to do their own construction, and the Union really didn't appreciate that. So the Union bombed the meeting house.
Okay.
What's amazing is at the end of the entire experience, the Union looked great, the meeting house looked great, the FBI looked bad, and the local GOP looked bad. Because after the firebombing happened, what the Quakers did is they ended up having a giant meeting with all of the Union people, and everybody together breaking bread. All while the FBI is outside like, hey, no making peace. We want you to press charges against them.
You sounded like Kennedy for a minute there.
I absolutely went full Kennedy. I apologize.
No making peace in there. You know what happened to the last one of us who tried to make peace?
I was trying for...
We're gonna make you feel back and to the left. We have magic bullets.
I was going for McCarthy and I hit Kennedy.
Daily reminder, Richard wanted to nuke Vietnam. Nixon was a Quaker. Again, I don't know what that pertains to this personally, though. Like, and Joe Biden was a Catholic. And?
Joe Biden was an Irish Catholic. Do you know how much that fucking pisses me off? This is all about kindness, but I'm sorry, the fucker was an Irish fucking Catholic and did famine over food. So, we are going to make
We're going to talk about potatoes.
Yeah. And I will also give you another benefit, too, that comes with when you feed your friends. Man, do you get to feed yourself some amazing foods? Me and Steph, we actually made we got some cinnamon rolls, like some Pillsbury dough basic crap cinnamon rolls last night.
Hey, those things slap.
Okay, see, I used to think that, but the problem is we've been making our own flour for months, and I've only had to do this dessert this one time because I'm exhausted and fried. I'm like, okay, we'll get started, but it tasted so bad compared to our home cooking.
I mean, yeah, like things can taste. So a McDonald's burger tastes really bad compared to something that I whip up in the kitchen. But I'm not gonna say that a 2 a.m. McDouble doesn't slap.
Taco Bell. The only thing that I will ever give that much props to is definitely the Taco Bell. That stuff slaps.
And see, the thing is that I never have a reason to go to Taco Bell, because you know what's right next to it, the Taco Bell here? What's right next to our Taco Bell is a, quote, Mexican restaurant. It's in the South, so it's just Tex-Mex. But they have Taco Tuesdays, and I go sit at the bar every Tuesday, and their tacos are $1.50.
Okay, that does have me a little jealous.
I cannot ever justify getting Taco Bell when for cheaper I can get some of the most stuffed beef tacos ever with homemade Diablo sauce covering them.
Okay, see, now we're going to pivot to another fantastic thing we could do. To when he talks to you, maybe you can't cook. All the people, I bet you there's some people in chat are like, I can't cook. I don't have friends to cook for and everything. Then you can make hot sauces. Do something that you can put some effort into.
Also, I want to push back on anybody that says I can't cook. Yes, the fuck you can. It's fair. It is a skill that not only can everybody develop, but every functioning adult should have. You should have the ability to put a meal together. It is a basic ass principle of functioning as a person with a frontal cortex. And there's 12 billion YouTube channels, including bullshit AI-generated content, that is built for the sole purpose of giving you easy meals to whip up. Nobody has to know that you didn't whip up that recipe yourself. They don't have to know that shit. They just have to know it tastes good.
Oh god, me, Adam, and Steph in the kitchen will absolutely just start randomly quoting the AI cooking videos because they're so ridiculous. None of the AI stuff makes any sense. But yes, I actually taught myself to cook from YouTube videos. That's how I learned.
Yep. I learned because I would go to friends' houses, and those friends, as adults, did not know how to cook, and I was so used to eating my mom's home cooking, and I said, nope, I am a single child from a single child home. I am spoiled as shit in that regard. I am not about to lower my standards. So instead of lowering my standards to whatever the fuck top ramen they had sitting in the area, I learned how to cook. We would go to a restaurant, and they would say, oh, that food tasted really good. And I would go, cool, that's what I'm going to learn how to cook when we get back to your place. And you can have it again.
I love that. Also, I loaded up chat, and I just want to say, no, chat, notice how much of a better mood y'all are in bragging about your own cooking? This is something you get to talk positively about yourself that you get to actually brag about. How rare is that in life right now?
Astroth says, I followed online recipes, preferred ones with as few ingredients as possible. There you go. That's good shit to do. Again, the point with this is to say that you have more things you can do besides just getting your boots on the ground and getting them dirty. That's the thing I'm going to advocate for you to do, because it's a thing you should be doing. It's a thing we need more of us doing right now. But by and large, it's not the only thing that you can be doing. There's other things you can be doing. You can be getting your friends together for a game night. Guess what? I promise you. This is why there was one member of my chat, Starm, who said that they did not have a community around them, like a real-life community. And I said, okay, we can fix that. And I built them a Magic the Gathering deck, and I mailed it to them. The reason I did that is the easiest way for you to get into a community with other people around you that share similar interests is to sit down at a commander table with them. It is a Magic the Gathering's commander format is a game that forces you to sit down and socialize with other real people. Politicking in that group of people is a part of the game. Not politicking in the go out and take out your picket sign sense, but politicking in the, hey, that person over there got really ahead. Maybe we should group together and take that person down. And wouldn't you know, that's a transferable skill to building unions. Weird. Anyway.
Oh man, you're telling me that all of these things that I was talking about, you were talking about, they're fun things that we get to eat, are actually tools in order to build unions? That can't be right.
Yeah, it's all the same set of skills.
That's just cheating.
It's the same set of skills. It's getting people together. So, what's funny, there's a friend of mine who's in our local play group, and he's more on the libertarian side, but you know what weird thing happens at 3 a.m. outside of a Jack-in-the-Box burger? We start talking about politics. We start talking about the issues we have with the parties that run the country. We start talking about all this shit, and it becomes unprompted at a certain point. It's just a thing that people who are either tired or have something in them that's loosening them up, like alcohol or something, it's something that naturally is gonna happen eventually. And at that point, you've got a door open where you can talk about this shit, and you can do it in a non-antagonistic, non-toxic way.
The other thing I love about cooking and cooking for your friends and everything, and not just this, here is the biggest thing that it brings when you go and meet a stranger. It tells that stranger, this is a thing that I do by myself to add value to our interaction.
Yep.
You'd be amazed how much that matters to people. And I say this as an old lady at this point. I get to call myself that right now. So much of when you meet a new person, the biggest thing you're listening for is, what does this person do that they invest something into? And right now, after COVID, there is so many of us that have nothing we've invested into, but still believe we do.
So when I go to my LGS, there are 4 things, or 5 things technically, that anybody can point at me and use as markers for who I am and what I do. Number 1, my cooking. Anybody who's been over to my house has wanted to have more of my cooking, and if they haven't had my cooking, they've had my beef jerky, because I'm able to make that and bring it up to the card shop. And people have paid me money to get bags of my homemade beef jerky. The next thing is deck building. I have an entire channel built on budget building decks on YouTube. The cool thing about building so many of those for YouTube is you develop that skill. And when you're in a game store where a bunch of nerds are competing with each other and they're always looking for some kind of edge over their friends, but they don't have the money to get the best in slot things available, you know what they love more than anything? The guy who can sit down with their deck and tell them what went wrong with it and how to fix it.
True. And the person who you can tell sat and did you can tell the difference between someone who's got the quick advice versus the person who can sit down and methodically take the time.
The next thing is community building. This is a conversation. This is not me tooting my own horn. It is a little bit, but this is not me tooting my own horn specifically. This is me having a friend who owned an LGS that used to be the LGS that I went to. And a thing that he told me when we were sitting down for dinner years ago was back when he owned that store, he preferred days where I was able to be in the store because they were days that naturally had more people coming into his store and buying stuff. Because more people would come around, because I would always be trying to host some kind of community event, either a Smash Brothers tournament or a Yu-Gi-Oh! Cube tournament or GOAT format, like anything that is outside the norm that brings people in the store that lets them continue doing shit. And guess what? That's one of the reasons we have an entire late night go to Taco Mac after the tournament scene. It's the same shit.
Wait, you mean these skills just keep coming back and circling around? That's not fair.
Taltronic says, when you dry meat, to use hot drying like a I use a dehydrator. I use a dehydrator.
I mean, I am a scientist, so I am going to ask for chat's help. To prove I'm right, I'm going to need you to send Suris some pictures of your meals, because if I'm right, he's going to get flooded with a bunch. If I'm wrong, he won't. So help me out, prove I'm right, then I get to come back and brag about my food, but give me a favor, get that done, because I really don't want to be wrong.
I've already sent you pictures of my food and bragged about it.
Who doesn't want to send pictures and brag about it? See, what happened is we got lame by taking pictures of food that other people cooked and then putting it on Instagram.
Oh, when you would take pictures of the food that you got from a restaurant and you were like, just vibing with the girls. I don't give a fuck that you're vibing with the girls. They're not my girls.
And then it's not even food's going to be that good. It's pretty food. Which, okay, sometimes pretty food is great. Bakery pretty food is amazing. But coffee pretty food is not the same. But yes, but really what you need to be doing is sending your friends pictures of your food. Getting that conversation
Hey, look,
back.
Scarlet Necromancer just sent me pictures of tacos.
I love it.
The only thing I don't like is the sour cream. I hate sour cream, but you know what? Everything else looks good. They look very, very well sauced.
I sent in the call my dinner, which was a turkey pot pie.
Which is also not a food that I'm a fan of, but it's still cool.
Oh, but my pie crust is from scratch. Like, you can hear it crisp. It's so good.
I just don't like pot pies, like, at all. Gideon says I could maybe send a photo of chili in a few hours once I start making it after finishing this article.
I'm thinking that at some point we're gonna start having just the little Suris kitty showing up with food together. Like, that's gonna be a combination that's gonna start happening. Master Chef Suris kitty.
I mean, so that's actually already happened because I've done cooking streams. I've done streams where I've made butter chicken from scratch and showed chat how to do it from step one. Unfortunately, when I was asked by Nakibri, hey, can you send me the recipe for that butter chicken? No, I can't because I didn't use one. I'm sorry.
I don't use a recipe either. And it's even worse because people are like, Casey, don't you bake? And I'm like, yes, I bake. And even baking, I don't need a recipe. I'm kind of that weird person. I can go by feel.
Hey there, 88 says, unfortunately, my food is already in my belly. So the point of all this, though, is to effectively illuminate the point that if you don't think you can get people around you, if you don't think you can get people to listen to you, you don't need to spec into charisma for it. You spec into cooking, which is, you know, more of a dex save than anything. Knowledge check. Way easier to clear. So do you use plain almond yogurt when testing for dairy tolerance? Good stuff. I need to try dairy, non-dairy yogurts. I am very used to just taking my dairy pill so that I can have all the dairy I want.
Renegade, I see the question you're asking for some genuine question. How do you make friends when you have a really bad anxiety? I have super bad anxiety, so I totally get that.
I have anxiety that had to be medicated by Klonopin, so I can speak on that. You just do it. I hate to tell you in the brutest of terms, but that is what it is. The only fix for anxiety making you hang up on something is to turn your brain off and just go do it. The reason that your anxiety is preventing you from doing something is you're subconsciously invested in the outcome. Train yourself to stop caring about the outcome. The outcome matters infinitely less than the process. I have major social anxiety. It is a thing that I will never fully overcome, but it is a thing that I can temporarily ignore as it is prudent to, and every time I temporarily ignore it as it's prudent to, I get a little better at it every subsequent time.
I will also give one huge advice for anxiety as well. One cure for anxiety is skills. And I'll bring an example for that. So I had a date this week, and it was a bad date. It was a trumper date. I didn't know he was a trumper until I went on a date with him, and he made fun of my cooking. Now, I bring it up because his insult just it's not that it didn't land. I literally didn't even register the words. Like it kind of confused me. Like, what? Because I'm so good, it literally he can't insult it. I bring that up because with your anxiety, if you cook in order to then make friends, and let's say the first 10 people they don't want to hang out with you, but you cook those 10 meals. And then the next 10 people don't want to hang out with you, but you still cooked those 10 meals. Guess what you now have? The skill of someone who cooked 20 meals. Now all of a sudden the other person doesn't matter. You're the person who can cook real good. Now people are going to start showing up. People chase you.
One of my favorite sets of words to hear from anybody in my friend group is, hey, when's the next get-together? Those are fucking magic to my ears. Because I immediately start planning, like, okay, what can we do? Like, the next get-together I do with my friends, it's going to be a shrimp boil. That has already been decided because of a bunch of us either have not done a southern boil before or have done them and love them to death because our families do them all the time. And you cater to both of those audiences by going, I know how to do one of those. Let's get this in for the people who don't know what one of these are so they can know what it's like to have this giant spread of delicious food. And everybody else, they already know what they're signing up for. They're here for this shit.
In order to get my own clutch together, what I did is every Saturday, I had an open invite. I called it Mad Science Saturday. I, for my own purposes, would cook my own food, big meal, huge meal. And I would do a different recipe every Saturday. And all of a sudden, a few friends were like, hey, so you're cooking this big food. and they start coming, and then next thing you know, all of a sudden the friends are starting to like not tell each other about this just so they can get more of the food. And that's the like you gotta start by doing it expecting people to say no. You're doing it for you.
Yep. Hell, when we had our so I put a hard limit of 8 people during my last get-together. My last get-together, we did an in-home Korean barbecue. And I'm going to make... I've talked about this before, but I'm going to make some of y'all jealous when I mention the spread that we had. We had hours-long marinated bacon. We had spicy marinated chicken in 2 different types of spices. We had curried deer. We put a hot pot with Shai Korma Indian curry, and we cooked deer flank in it. We had 3 different kinds of steak, all marinating for hours. And there were a lot of people who canceled. But because I put a hard limit of 8 people, when people canceled, other people who were basically in the line were able to come up and replace. And we still had 8 people, even with 3 people canceling, because there were other people who were like, "Hey, we'd like a chance to get in to hang out and have food. Well, there's limited space, but X, Y, and Z canceled, so you want to come?"
All right. So, just because I see you've got a fan who's being helped in anything, Renegade, I have a challenge for you. I would love to see a picture of your next meal that you cook. So not today. Take some time, think about it, make a real good meal to show off later. And we'll all give you the congratulations you need.
Or I'll scrutinize it like an asshole and tell you where you can improve.
Oh, I will not let him. I will not let him.
You have no power here. I'm kidding.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, I already signed my contract. You actually don't have power here.
Oh, that's not the power I was going to go with.
Okay.
What I was going to say is any scrutiny you give to Renegade, I will present to you, and you know I can do brutal.
Oh, that's entirely fine. I am that confident in what I do.
See, what did I say about skills? What did I say about skills?
You can scrutinize anything I do. I know I'm doing it the right way.
I love how I had just said that if you have skills, you can't be insulted. It just can't. It doesn't work.
Also, another set of street tacos came in from Tesla. How's it going, Midnight Rider? Bohemian Lucy says, I work evenings most nights, so how would I gather with people? So here's the cool thing, Bohemian Lucy. You know who else works evenings most nights? Other night workers. And you know who else has fucked up sleep schedules because of that? Other night workers. You want to know how I know? Because when I was working for Quick Trip, I was an overnight manager that had to travel around Atlanta. So I not only had the bad overnight schedule, but I had the 1 to 2 hour commute every day. I know exactly what you're dealing with, and the way you handle it is finding other night people.
I was a beer slinger at a 7-Eleven at Virginia Tech.
Yep. And then we have... That looks delicious. That is... The only thing that I don't like on that is the lettuce, unless that's cabbage. If that's cabbage, I'm all in on that. But sausage, cheese, black olives... Delicious. Smoked sausage, olive, artichoke hearts. Okay, artichoke hearts. That's also fine. It's artichoke hearts. That's good.
Artichoke hearts are very good on pizza.
But the point of this is, as another example on the skill thing, I had somebody give me a very long comment about how $15 Magic the Gathering decks for Commander do not do enough work. They cannot overpower decks that have higher budgets. And here's the thing. I got to do something very petty. I did a video response to the comment. But I got to do that video response to the comment with my own personal experience. There are decks of mine with a $15 budget that my friend group has banned from group play. Why? Because with their decks that have borderline unlimited budgets, they still would rather not deal with the type of shit that I put together. They would rather fight other decks of mine. There is one player at my locals who, again, has he works a union job that pays really, really well. So his decks have a very, very, very high budget, to the point where he pretties out all of his cards. Which, if you've played Magic before, you know that takes a deck from $100 to a couple $1,000s. This is a person with an unlimited budget for their decks. If I take out my Niv Mizzet deck at his table, the first things I'm going to hear from him are a groan, and the next words I'm going to hear are, I just wanted to have a win today. I got to take those experiences in when somebody said that your $15 decks can't do X, Y, or Z. Not only do I know that they can, but I've gone into tournaments with them and done exactly what you've said I should not be able to do. So why the fuck would I listen to your opinion?
I just want to say thank you to Nixie for proving me right, because see, Suris, it's all about the passion. It's not... Pissed is easy. Kindness is hard. Kindness comes from the food.
Midnight Rider says the bacon hot dog vendors are out and set nearby the San Jose Convention Center. Speaking of convention, just a side thing. I do have the if you hit exclamation mark dono, that will take you to my my dono thing right now. And temporarily, that money will not be going to protest stuff. Any money that is sent in right now will be used so that I could maybe take Saki to MomoCon. If we don't get to go to MomoCon, also no skin off my back. I completely understand that funding going to protests is infinitely more important in the grand scheme of things. But if you guys want to help fund the other thing, then I would be appreciative. Either way. Either way. They said I'm not allowed to play your cheap mummy deck. Yeah, it's the composition of how a deck is put together that matters, not the money that's put into it. And anybody who is anybody who has enough melanin in their skin to appreciate a little bit of spice understands that the same thing goes with food. You can take the cheapest cuts of meat and make them delectable by cooking them slower and adding more seasonings.
Oh, it's so true. Even my baked goods. My baked goods starts with crap flour, but the first thing I do is I throw them back in the grinder to get that extra fine flour.
Bohemian Lucy says, does hanging out at a bar count as gathering? Yes.
Yes.
That 100% counts as gathering. It's you're with people, you're talking with them, and if you're hanging out at a bar, there's a pretty high chance that some of those vulnerabilities may come out from people. People, when they've had some alcohol in them, they are going to let you know some pretty important factoids about their life.
In fact, I'm going to go with 3 quick things when it comes to a bar. 1, you are talking about people who have the ability to pay a tab. 2, when you look at England right now, one of the reasons their social construct is falling apart is because of the dying of the local pub. And 3, we literally all remember Norm.
So much so that there's AI-generated content about him that people are posting everywhere as well that makes me upset. Dixie says buying drinks is a good way to get connections. It can be.
Yes, buying drinks is the equivalent of food. Now, mind you, it doesn't have the skills of food. It has the money as a replacement. So you need to know the money as the replacement. But the concept is still the same.
Superstorm says, Negasurs, you can use baking soda to tenderize some tougher cuts of meat. I got Eye of Round and used that trick as a substitute for flank stank. You know what else you can do on your tougher cuts of meat? Fun fact. Not just the baking soda, but coat them with a little bit of flour before tossing them on a pan. That little bit of flour will cause that food in the pan to retain its moisture. It becomes a barrier. It's actually the secret behind takeout Chinese food.
Spot on, yes.
Professor Tesla says, I miss Emerald City in Pensacola. I was such a flirt. I never went to Emerald City, but I also never went to bars. So, like, that doesn't mean anything to me. But as somebody who grew up in Pensacola as well, The thing I miss in Pensacola the most is home field. But that's been closed down.
Also, earlier you were having discussion about, why it's the first step and everything. Notice chat is all about asking, each of these people are asking things they can do. It's no longer questions about far in the future, man, do I go to this protest or that? No, these people are asking specific things. Can I do this? And of course it's a yes. Or they're bragging. How many people are in there bragging right now?
No, that's entirely fair. Amanda Rogers says, I feel that you could sell going to a con so much better. That is a place of gathering where you can find like-minded people and recharge yourself to be more productive. I love going to a con. Yes, but here's the thing. So I agree with you that I could probably sell it better by positioning it as a thing that is being done for the benefit of my content. The reality is, if I don't go to the convention, I'm going to find another thing to recharge there. So for my community, I would be happy if they would help me recharge that way because they personally want me to, as opposed to me kind of positioning it as that. I don't know if that's like my social anxiety that's causing that more than anything, but I don't like putting as much gravitas on something that I don't feel has that gravitas. Said home field was fun, but they killed themselves. See, I wasn't there while home field died, so I don't know what they did to kill themselves. My experience with home field was growing up with All American Cards and Collectibles, then going to home field and enjoying my time there, but feeling like Greg was a little too greedy. And then I left for a few years, came back, did one Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, left for a few years, came back, and they were gone.
All right. Now, I do got to appeal to some other people, just because maybe there is one thing that is a food equivalent out there that I don't have as much talent for, but I am practicing, and I'm wagering there's some people who can bring this to the table.
Okay.
If you can't bring food, music. Play the guitar. Play the drums. Those are another great, because it's another thing that you have to put in time and effort into.
See, the only problem is you have to make sure that you don't become the guitar guy. If you become the guitar guy, this just may backfire on you.
Okay, I'm going to say again, it comes down to skill. Because I used to live with someone who was the guitar girl, and it was a mandolin, but she was so good that it didn't matter. Now, if you're a guitar douche and who just can only play the same 4 chords, then that's not skill.
Yeah, that's how you become the guitar guy. You either become the guitar guy or you become the guy who gets to hear the words "play Wonderwall" for the 15th time, and then in a just drunken rage you break your guitar over somebody's head, and that's not very effective.
Okay, so for the person who said that the drum guy is worse than the guitar guy, I have a confession. I tend to go home with the drum guy, but I have figured out why. So, I have a nat 20 wisdom. I have no weaknesses except to a nat 20 charisma. And drum guys always seem to have a nat 20 charisma. They have no other quality.
That's because they're the con men's of the music world. The drum guy is the guy that doesn't know how to read the music, but he convinced the band that he's able to, so he's still there. Like, that requires a charisma check.
I fall for it every time.
Jessa says that's my mom. Professor Tessa says the drum guy knows how to bang.
I've become my mother.
You did it. It said drumming is just counting, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. And then you click your sticks together real quick to be the temporary hype man, and then you keep doing it.
Okay, when the person was asking about singers, what kind of singer are we talking about here? Because that could be there's no one singer guy.
Superstorm says, would I be bad for picking up sax again? No, because if you can play old shit from memes, you're gonna get a crowd around you banging their heads. And saxophone guy is like peak meme era.
Just to give a little gamer inside, some Overton insider knowledge, we have trumpet guy in the game, and it's all about how cool he is because he dedicated his time into the trumpet and he just loves the trumpet. It does. If you're a sax guy, it's not a question of if the sax is cool. It is a question of if you are cool with the sax.
Also, apparently a $10 donation just went in through, and it literally says Momocon Fund. Thank you, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
Oh, your friends are an opera singer? My friend. Sorry. I am so old that I want to be. Okay, hold on. Chat, does anyone know what song I was about to sing? I just need to know how old I am. I need to know if anyone was going to know the song.
So you know how old you are when you get angry at a website that doesn't allow you to pick a year and instead makes you scroll through them.
Okay.
That's when you know you're old. When that physically angers you, that's it.
Yeah. But I have learned finally my persona for when I finally get my Twitch stream going and everything. See, I've learned that I have to be Mom from Futurama. You know, the kind one. The apron, the hoop skirt, all that stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah, not the other side.
I feel like my persona has just been the angry person. I don't know how best to describe my online persona.
No, because you know what? You and I have been talking cooking, and you have been in a good mood and cheerful and hopeful. Anyone else notice how much hope he's had in his voice for the last hour?
Midnight Rider, thank you for the $2, said, sadly, this can't warp you to FanimeCon 2025. Yeah, but, I mean, look, Momocon's right there in Atlanta. If we can pay for the tickets and the food, then we get to go to MomoCon, and it'll be a nice distraction. And it will, yes, technically, it will also help me feel very nice and recharged for the coming stuff that is happening. Because on my docket in the next few weeks, we have the pre-trial protest for Marcy Rankton, who's the trans woman who got arrested for being in a bathroom in Florida, but as a trans woman, because apparently washing your hands while trans is illegal in Florida.
And punishable by 11 months in jail.
Yep, and it's 11 months because that is exactly under the amount for a felony. It is as close to the maximum for a civil case as you can get. Professor Desta says, cooking always brings out the joy in people. Yeah, unfortunately for me, when it comes to cooking, my biggest enemy is usually time, which is why I have Takeout Chinese in front of me. And it's great. Also, Naki Bree just sent the picture of the butter chicken. Which, is that a lodge? Yeah, you made your butter chicken in the exact same cast iron skillet I made mine in. You poser. I, too, use a lodge of that exact same size.
I think we're going to have to drag Suris into doing more cooking streams so that way he eats healthy and makes content at the same time. And then, you know what? We'll have a whole thing where he tries to read the news while cooking so he can't make splashes or anything, so he can't get mad. He's got to be nice the whole time.
Oh, no, I just won't do that. That will actually just make me angry. At that point, I'll be splitting my attention too far. That actually does cause me to start going off the handle.
Fair. For me to learn to be kind, it just took my cat just always being on my lap, even though it's like my code's breaking and I'm just like, I need to kill the world.
Starm says, people ask me how to get into cooking, and I tell them to get a lodge. It covers so much. It's also like $15, and it's some of the best $15 you'll spend in your cooking life. It's a big burly pan that is so heavy duty. There is nothing it can't do. You can put it in the oven. You can put it on the stove. You can put it on the grill. I have taken mine and just thrown it on the grill to make breakfast. The thing does everything. It's great.
Get yourself a good lodge, a KitchenAid. Oh, I'm gonna say the one extravagance everyone should save up and buy for themselves is a KitchenAid.
QD Moore says, added to the shopping list. It's cheap and it does such a good job.
And also remember, much of these things are cost savers. When you cook for yourself, like, I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. Your first meal, you're not going to be replacing anything that fancy. You're going to be figuring stuff out. But on your 50th meal, all of a sudden, restaurants don't really appeal to you anymore. Some do. You'll find one or two that are your favorites, but you'll also know which one or two are the good one or two.
Yeah, you tend to have a higher standard for what you go out and eat. And you tend to gravitate towards things more often if you've cooked for yourself. Unfortunately, that can backfire a little bit as well, because once you have those standards, you may just start gravitating towards them more. And that can cause issues. Nixie-chan, thank you for the 100 bits. Said, check your Ko-fi. And Nixie says, it's $100 for war words, right? Hold on, I have to check my coffee. My Ko-fi. Anytime I think of the word coffee, I think of that, like, blonde girl that does TikToks that just makes these extravagant but disgusting-looking drinks, and she always goes, coffee, coconut milk. And I'm just like, I understand you're appealing to somebody here, but I don't know what you're doing. Also, Jesus Christ, Nixie. That is a lot, but that is also half of what it will cost for the tickets. So, you know what? Yeah, you're right. That is the cost of an... Ooh. As much as I want to kill myself when I say those words. Forest Friend says, hello, I forgot that you actually have your own streaming career outside of streaming with Vice Rhino. I forget that I do too sometimes. Lenari says it doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't appeal to me either. But and Lucy, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl.
Owl. That's so cute.
Starm, also, thank you, you degenerate, for redeeming your points for an ada. Again, you fucking degen.
Fucking degen.
Those of you who are into that, don't be.
To be fair, okay, but Letterkenny is one of those things that, like, there's just something great when you go to somebody who's never seen Letterkenny and just go, okay, here, sit and watch this, and it's good. It's so good.
Jassa says, you never read my 125 streak message? That's because streaking is illegal. I'm kidding, I also just completely forgot, I'm sorry. You said above message. I've read your message. Your message was above message. I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that, other than a break.
I think it's my fault. I think I was making you have such a good time that you were lapsed in your chat responsibilities. Chat, this is mommy's fault.
That is some gross overconfidence. Jasta says, I don't have a house or grass, but I played 4 games at my LGS, lost all 4, need to tweak Captain America and my Goad deck. It's so much fun even if I lost. Well, I'm glad you had fun even though you lost. I don't want to say the follow-up words to that statement, but I'm glad you had fun even though you lost. Also, Jake, thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? I noticed when I raided you last night, it did not go very well. It's a coin so moist it's dripping. Are you saying the corn has the juice? How moist is your corn? Oh, you don't even want to know. I would break Twitch TOS if I told you. But let me just say, real butter has nothing on the moistness of this corn.
My corn is slowly marinated and dripping.
It has the
Am I doing
juice?
it right?
Corn so moist it's dripping because I can do double strains.
What is your chat doing? What have you? Did I?
We got raided by the Corn King. We got raided by Jake the Corn King. Thank you for the follow, Winterm. I won't be saying the other words that came in that name, but you know, definitely thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And Dargish, thank you for the follow as well. For those of you who are here, there is a domino command right now, because right now MomoCon is happening in the Atlanta area, and I would like to be able to take me and my partner to go. For those who are new here from Jake's stream, my partner is trans, and with the most recent information about the cuts to Medicaid as the first steps of taking more and more trans rights away from people, the distraction would be incredibly helpful for both of us in being able to be effective. Pachinio, thank you for the follow. Umadin, thank you for the follow. Thrace Fulton, thank you for the 316 bits. Jesus died on the cross so that you could see the letter T. Jessa, thank you for the hydrate. Wet with corn. Hunter Seeker, thank you for the follow. Shayla and Dargish, thank you for the follow as well. We also do need a shout out for Jake. Goddamn Melon Kuma, thank you for the follow.
Sorry.
Chucky1044, thank you for the 102 bits. What is wrong with salami? The thing that's wrong with salami is that it's not pepperoni. Like, in terms of tiers of food, pepperoni is above salami most of the time. But you know what's above both of those? All the time? Fucking capicola.
Ooh.
Good Cappy? Good Cappy cannot be beat. Sorry, I'm lying. There is one thing that beats Good Cappy, and it is very thinly sliced prosciutto.
I was gonna say the prosciutto, but I gotta tell you, the prosciutto, I think it's cliche and overdone. I think you were right with the Cappy, and I tell you why is because when you first hyped yourself up as having the peak one, in my head I said, don't say prosciutto, don't say prosciutto, and then you said Cappy. I was like, you know what? That's the one. So I'm gonna go with your first instinct.
So here's the thing. Cappy is something that I am thrilled when I have a ton of it. Any amount of capicola makes me happy. Prosciutto is something that I always want to have in small amounts.
True.
I want to have a little bit of prosciutto on something. But with capicola,
I love a little bit of prosciutto on with a egg on a white pizza.
Give me a little bit of prosciutto with some chipotle Gouda.
Ooh.
And put it on a nice piece of thinly toasted bread. Like a bread that is bordering between a cracker and a croissant. Nixie-chan, thank you for the 350 bits. And Daughter of Tiamat, thank you for subscribing at Tier 1. Sidebar, as you are the Daughter of Tiamat, I have a very important question for you. Do you think Tiamat gives good head? Like, there's 5 of them. Surely one of them can do a good job, right? You'd think.
See, now, I would think that because there's 5, they would all presume the other one would take care of it and not one of them would have the skill.
Oh, so you're saying that bystanders, the bystander effect would happen?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Head number 1 says somebody should blow this dick. And head number 2 and 3 agree. Head number 4 and 5 are pretty sure that 2 and 3 are going to do it. And then it never happens.
Exactly.
All right, good to know that Tiamat's a blue baller. We're not... We don't stan a blue baller here. Ubadin says, do dragons have lips? I'm sure they've stolen some.
Didn't dragon lips or lizard lips? Lizard lips used to be like a big insult in like 90s cartoons.
Daughter of Tiamat says, I'll ask Mom next time I take a rest and pray for spells. There you go. Streameless Nadirku, thank you very much for the $4.20. $4.20. Haha, funny number.
Oh, somebody's making fun of... somebody's not making fun of me.
I have done a weed 4 times in my life, and it probably won't hit 10.
I have done a weed 4 times...
in this week.
Today. In my defense, I've basically been treating it like medication for ADHD on this last binge because I don't know if you know, but trying to do a video game and while the world is ending and trying to do those two things together is insane.
Also, sidebar, just a thing there. So I don't know if this proves that I have ADHD, but I had a meeting with a psychiatrist to start talking about my ADHD stuff to maybe go down the route of getting medication or treatment, and I forgot. That was supposed to be on Wednesday. So now they're charging me $100 for forgetting.
Oh.
I kind of feel like I don't want to ever pay them that. Because I kind of feel like that's stupid and shitty.
That's cruel.
I said Elegant Disarray says that's not fair. Yeah, I agree it's not fair. I agree that anything that involves for-profit medical systems is not fair. Mr. Whisker says that should just be the diagnosis right there. I wish.
Have you played Oblivion? I'm old enough that I played the original Oblivion in college. Upstairs, I actually have a Skyrim display box from opening night on the midnight release. Like one of the big ass promotional boxes.
Hell yeah. I said the MDs are spread thin on mental health across the country. Yup. Ali Hallie says, truly insidious how they force people with ADHD to stick to rigidly scheduled appointments to get access to Medicaid. Wait a minute, is that the reason that I can't keep a stream schedule? And my stream schedule is literally on Mondays through Thursdays I stream, and I can't set it, I can't set anything. Is that an ADHD thing? Why is that saying VTube Studio API shit? Why the fuck? Okay, allow. Thank you, VTube Studio. Thank you, and your shit.
It's an ADHD thing and an overstimulation
I am
thing.
online
you,
now.
More than anyone I know, need some meditation. My brother. So much.
Let's see. I need to escape this wolf. Said it's not a one-to-one thing, but it does correlate. Tautergranok says, I can't do habits. I think that's ADHD. Oh my god, there are so many of these things here. I just want to escape. I am but a mage with very, very little in the way of defending myself. Chronomancy only rewinds the wounds, but it doesn't help if my heart gets shot and I can't move. Speaking of schedules, what do you usually talk about Magic the Gathering? I have a deck building dilemma I've been wanting to ask you about. So, here's the thing, Daughter of Tiamat. Magic the Gathering stuff, I actually don't do on a stream. I do Magic the Gathering stuff on my Magic channel, which is my only fully edited channel, where I'll do things like write scripts for myself when I feel that it's prudent. However, the flip side to that is, if I'm not in the middle of talking about political topics, I'm able to talk about Magic the Gathering. Just bring me a thing that you want to talk about. Also, Sakura, thank you for the 100-bit cheer. And the hydrate as well, Jassa.
You just feel to tolerate right now that we're going to use you as an example of how Magic the Gathering caused some community building with us.
Chucky says, I'm so mad at Magic the Gathering with the Final Fantasy set. I am too. Which is why it's a good idea to pick up singles from your local game store if you're going to get anything from the Final Fantasy set, instead of getting sealed product, because sealed product is what's going to cost a fuck ton of money. But singles? Look, all I'm saying is, I'm a Final Fantasy IX fan, and a Final Fantasy VIII fan, and both Renoa and Garnet are uncommons. I get to play my really cool Final Fantasy women, and they're going to cost me all of 20 cents. Chucky says, is this making me quit again? Just don't buy the sealed product. Like, remember, Magic the Gathering is always going to be as expensive as you allow it to be for yourself. Be angry at the company, but, like, if the game is a thing that you enjoy, you don't have to quit because the game is doing a thing like that. Just don't engage with that part of the game, or engage with it in a way that's healthy. The sealed product is the big problem with Final Fantasy, the upcharge on the sealed product. But that upcharge is not going to exist on the secondary market.
Me and my friends, when we play, one of the things we do in order to add our own little twist is we do $5 deck nights or $10. The point is, we always put instead of having it be the game is not, build the best deck you can. It's build the best deck you can for $5. It ends up using those cards you never use.
Jassa is a loser, baby. A loser, goddamn baby. A loser just like me. You woo.
Proxy burner, go burr.
You see, I do not like proxying. So I will never give advice that is, well, then proxy these. I think proxying is, while a very, very valid way to engage with Magic because of the increasing price, I find it to be the least interesting way to engage with Magic. Because having a deck building restriction of a budget is way more fun to me than I'm just going to proxy the Ristic study.
Limitations is what makes things fun. Proxy is the equivalent of a cheat code in a video game. Give yourself all infinite money. Once you've done it, it's removed all the fun.
I wouldn't say it's removed all the fun, because the problem with that is that there are competitive formats that I think should allow proxying, because Wizards of the Coast has barred access to cards that are necessary to play in those formats. For instance, the Legacy format and Vintage formats require you to have access to the original dual lands in order to stay on point with everybody else, but Wizards refuses to print those cards because they are almost called the reserve list. So I can't say, oh, just run the budget version of those, or I can't just say run different versions of that. In a competitive format, that will never fly. Access to game pieces is infinitely more important in a competitive format, because the unsolved part of that format is not the how you build the deck. The decks are solved, the decks are built. The unsolved part of that format is how you interact with that format with other players. It's how other players respond to what you have that becomes interesting. The thing with Commander, as a casual format, it doesn't have the same needs. Like, if I want to play Modern right now, the deck that I play is Hardened Scales. And a requirement to play Hardened Scales in Modern right now is having access to 4 Mox Opal. I have one, but they are $160 each, and the one that I have was given to me as a gift from a friend. I'm probably never going to get the other Mox Opals, because I'm never spending $160 on a single Magic the Gathering card. But I think that because of that, proxying should be a thing that's allowed in hyper-competitive events. But that creates another problem of how do you, as a company, justify selling your cardboard when you are able to proxy the cardboard? And I think the answer to that is printing the cards more often so players have access to them. The middle ground for all companies in that regard is make the game pieces accessible to us, and we will handle the rest.
Then I will refine my statement. There is a place for where rarity and surprise should exist in the game, and a place where rarity shouldn't.
Okay, I can agree with that. Competitive formats where people need to be on an even keel should not be formats where your wallet are a defining factor. Limited formats, like formats where you want to have a budgetary restriction, or the area where rarities actually matter a lot, draft formats. Draft and pre-release formats. Because there, I can tell you from a game design perspective, the rarity actually plays a huge part into how those sets are built, and it's because I've had the experience of playing in a very bad draft environment as a result. For anybody who's a longtime Magic player, you know about the card Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune's about a $300 or $400 card. There was a tournament. There was a tournament in my local area that was doing a Wheel of Fortune draft tournament. You entered a draft tournament, and the prize was a Wheel of Fortune. Sorry, not a draft tournament. It was a sealed tournament, which means you get 6 booster packs, and you build a pack out of that, as opposed to a draft tournament where you're passing packs around and getting your cards from those packs. So, in this tournament, we were given 6 packs that were all collector boosters. Collector boosters are $20 to $30 each. So this was an expensive tournament to enter, but they needed to justify having a Wheel of Fortune as the prize. So we entered the tournament with our 6 packs of boosters, and this was one of the worst gaming experiences I have ever had. Because an aspect of how draft is built is that draft chaff is the spine of your deck. It is the stuff that makes your deck function, and then you get a bomb out, and then you usually can win with that bomb. But when everything in your deck is like a high mana bomb, you have 3 to 5 turns of players going land pass. And it becomes one of the most boring gaming environments of all time.
Yeah, I literally feel that story.
Chucky says, I tried to draft with set packs, and it was similar. Yeah, set packs were not designed to be drafted from, and they don't even have the rarity issue. Set packs are just not built that way. It's why I'm happy they moved to play boosters, so we at least don't have the 2 kinds of booster packs, because that's always been a stupid system. I mean, we don't have the 3 kinds of booster packs, now we just have 2. We have the booster packs for the whales and the booster packs for normal people. Naki Bree says, wait, a collector booster draft? Aren't those for getting high-value cards only? Yes! Now you're saying why this was such a bad gameplay experience for everyone. There's nothing fun about having a deck filled with bombs that can't function on something as simple as playing a 2/2 Grizzly Bear. Your decks can't even do that. Yeah, you're right, Naki. We didn't get the commons we needed to run the decks well. We had a pile of rares and mythics that were built to be the cool, chase, splashy cards. Nobody had a functional deck. 6 booster packs in, and nobody had a functional deck. We all played decks. I got 3rd place in that tournament. Felt neat. I only made 1 mistake in the entire tournament, and it cost me a game. But it wasn't a fun experience.
Honestly, the whole thing sounds like how a corporate game would go. Like, I could just picture just 50 guys in ties all playing poker with the big boss and just not being able to understand the game.
Yeah. They've all bought into the most expensive things because that's what they were told to do, but they have no idea how they function.
Exactly. That is literally exactly what I was thinking. Oh God, I'm so glad I never, ever, ever, ever have to go back to corporate again. You cannot make me.
I'll just be excited when Overton is finally out.
This helped. This I got to tell you because I mean, as you saw the demo, I finished the demo. I literally I should have been done this week, but I will be 100% with you and with the chat. I couldn't function. I couldn't. I didn't have the hope. I lost it a bit. It was a bit too much for me, and I couldn't read code. I couldn't do the basics. But I think I've gotten that out of my system.
Well, that's good.
But I'm supposed to be above this stuff, I'm supposed to lead and not, lose the hope and shit.
No, everybody's human.
Sorry.
Everybody's human. Daughter of Tiamat says, I miss the old fat packs. I collected the little posters that were wrapped up in them. I miss the old fat packs when they had novels in them. I miss when Magic the Gathering had novels.
So, chat, let me ask, any advice for me on doing this stuff? Because I am not used to, because that's the other reason I need to do this too, is I am not used to public speaking, and I have to get myself more used to doing it. What was that anxiety thing we were talking about earlier?
Social anxiety. It sucks. Naki Bree says, I have a story from a Scars of Mirrodin fat pack. I think the only one I have anymore, I have my Time Spiral books, and I have some of my Ravnica books. But also, yeah, advice for Dr. Nuclear Winter. You can even say she's cringe. It will be taken in stride, I hope.
Yeah, I will.
Be cringe and therefore be free. Kinmark says, my friend only likes to play standard Magic, and I got commander decks, so learning has been different. Fair. Professor Tesla says the only real advice, press start and go. I can say, from my perspective, the only advice that I could give for public speaking is have a set of notes in your head. That way you don't dilly-dally off, and when you do dilly-dally off and you get onto a tangent, you're able to whip yourself back onto where you were, or find a way to take that tangent and make it apply to what your notes were.
My problem is I've always had an assistant whose job was to pull me back onto task.
And I have never had that in my life.
Oh, it's the most wonderful thing in the world. You should get an assistant. They're great because then you'll just wander off and then they'll be like, no, come back. You have to go and do this thing. Now, mind you, I haven't had one since I was in corporate and I miss it. I miss it so much. I have to make my own damn coffee now. You know what I really, I want to get back on cooking real quick just because I
Hellbound
also
Hillbilly, thank you for rating. How was your stream?
What is a rating? What is that?
So, whenever somebody is finishing a stream on Twitch, it is considered good etiquette to share your audience with another streamer. That way, not only does your audience, who are currently on Twitch, and they want to know that there's something that they can continue watching, they like being able to sit back and just let the content happen for them. It also allows you to network with other people and grow your channels together. So, Hellbound Hillbilly, because they have rated me, my mods are shouting them out, which lets other people know about their channel. And now that their stream has ended, they are sharing their audience with me. And when I end my stream, I will be sending my audience out to somebody else.
So you're telling me that this whole thing we've had a discussion about community and little things and little actions about how to build a community with each other, I just got to learn a new version of that live.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what rating is for. It is a community building tactic for streamers so that their communities can get larger, because a rising boat or a rising tide floats all boats. Umidin says, do you play any other TCG? I don't, because I like having some spending money. I refuse to play more than one trading card game because I like being able to afford bills.
I play a little Pokemon, I confess. I have a Wug Trio deck that is pretty brutal, and it makes people cry.
Ali Holly says, the funny thing is I have severe ADHD, but I'm a project manager and pretty good at it right until I need to keep myself on task. I'm really good at managing time, tasks, money, etc. for anything or anyone but myself. That's usually how it works. That's why when Razor paid me to do some creative director stuff for him so we could get his model and everything worked on, and Ravi had me do similar for him, it's something that I can do for me only because if I don't get to eat. But it's way easier to do it for other people. So, just because, again, I'm learning, I'm loving getting asked these questions and behaviors and such. So when you talk to chat, so I've just been like just responding as if I'm talking to chat. So you call out their name always? Is that like a behavior thing, or is that like a you thing? I'm just curious. It depends on the streamer. Some people prefer responding to the chat as one entity. I prefer responding to my chat as individual people because they are individual people to me. I prefer learning things about their life. I prefer learning about their interests. I prefer figuring out stuff that they enjoy. The reason I like doing that is these are the people who are taking the time out of their day to give me watch hours that actively allow me to be able to pay my bills and be able to eat food. So the least I can do is learn a little bit about these people, and there is a non-zero chance that I'm going to go meet some of these people in real life throughout my life. Gideon Wells, who's in the chat right now, I went to go do a public speaking event at MagFest, and Gideon brought a Meteor Golem Magic the Gathering card for me to sign after that speaking event with my friends Nick, Wayne, and Trey. So, as far as I'm concerned, these people are as important to making this channel function as me as an entity. So if me talking about the things that I care about is an important part of this, then learning those things about them on an individual basis is just as important. Nishi-chan says, I read the name out and respond to the message, but I don't read the message out loud. I read the message out loud because there are some people who are audio-only listeners. That's me. I'm usually guilty of that one. I tend to put headphones in and clean, or code, or whatever. Chucky, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Because there are audio-only listeners, I have to do my content in a way that is good for the visual listeners and the audio-only listeners and everyone in between. An interesting fact when it comes to the audio-only and everything, are you familiar with the Netflix rule in writing? Yes, I am. It's making it the B audio, making it the thing that is in the peripheral of the eye, as opposed to making content that is something that needs to be paid attention to. I actually, when I was making Overton, had the Netflix rule in mind the entire time. Did not intend, I kind of kept it in mind. All of a sudden realized I was diddling on my phone while playing the game, like, oh my god, I'm product testing, but I'm still texting on my phone. Which is just the worst ADHD ever. To end up doing that in your own game. Alias says, see, that I hate. If I'm watching a show, I am watching it. See, I recently killed my Netflix subscription just because it's money that I don't want to be spending anymore. I do still have some subscriptions, but for me, every show always has needed to be the show that I am able to put on in the peripheral, because I need to be able to do something else at the same time. So usually, lately, it's been building Magic the Gathering decks or putting things together for the Magic channel. So making sure that things are able to be that is great. It's unfortunately one of the advantages of being in the middle of watching One Piece, because with the amount of times that show spends recapping or showing a running animation for 2 minutes instead of 2 seconds, it makes very, very good just side of peripheral content. It makes the pacing far less infuriating.
One of the reasons that those with ADHD require it so much is due to their spoiler vision. ADHD individuals, when they partake in a story, it is needed to be peripheral because it is more ritual than actual individual act. You know what's about to happen every time because you recognize every story as basically being the same.
Kinda, sorta. I don't know if I completely agree with that, but at the same time, I was also watching Arcane Season 2, knowing in the back of my head that I know that Vi becomes a cop at the end of this, and also telling myself there's no fucking way this bitch becomes a cop after all this.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those little factoids that now that you've heard it, you're going to watch a show like a week from now, and you're just going to go, God damn it, Casey.
Jessa says, wow, way to dunk on us plebs who can't just watch a 1,200 episode show. So what you do is you put it on in the background and you consume it a little bit at a time. You know what the cool thing about a 1,200 episode show is? If you watch 3 to 4 episodes a day, which takes about an hour of your time, you'll finish the show by the end of a year. Like, and that's a thing that you put on in the background while you're cooking spaghetti. Hallie says, recognizing tropes makes it really easy to tell where a story is going, which is why subversions are so much better than playing it straight, right up until we expect the subversion. Yeah, this is why I really hate modern Disney films. I'm not a fan of the twist villain, because the twist villain's never a fucking twist villain. It's just watching a villain not enjoy being a villain for 2/3 of the movie, only for us to get a tiny bit of them being a villain in the end. No, don't give me a twist villain. Give me a Scar who is singing about participating in a genocide. That shit's fun.
Ooh, best villains. Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Most twist villains suck. I think the last good twist villain was Wreck-It Ralph. That was a good one.
I think that was just on Wreck-It Ralph being a good movie, but I can't say I enjoyed anything about its villain. Like, he's got a funny voice.
Well, that's Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
That's Alan Tudyk is Alan, and he, as Cinnamon Wins would say, Alan Tudyk is always a win.
Like, my only problem with Wreck-It Ralph is that I was sold one movie and I got a different one. I was sold a cinematic version of the Smash Brothers Subspace Emissary plotline, and instead I got a Disney movie with some cameos from video game characters. It doesn't make Wreck-It Ralph a bad movie. It just makes it disappointing to me.
That makes sense. It's funny because the person, I forget the person's individual, and I feel bad because I know we were just discussing about making chat feel special and everything. But the person who was talking about subversions and tropes and everything, God, I want to be able to have like such a great conversation on that. You need a book club chat, man, at some point.
Is it just that you're not enjoying them right now? I'm sorry, hon. How are you feeling otherwise? I'm trying to kiss your mouth. Oh, I was trying to kiss your mouth. Here. We need drink. Oh, if you're getting drink, could please, could get for me. Thank you. I appreciate. Oh, you're just taking it away from me? But you hate Diet Dr. Pepper. What are you going to do with it? Just hold it there so I'm sad?
I love. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna do the whole talking to the person. So Bohemian Lucy, I love Hunger Games. Hunger Games is absolutely one of the best written series of all time.
I have reread the books 3 times for a reason.
They're so good, right?
They are very, very rereadable books. And the movie pisses me off.
Why?
So,
But
all
wait,
right.
Which one?
The first one.
Okay.
2, 3, and 4 are fine. The first movie pisses me off. The first movie pisses me off because at its core, book 1 is an inner dialogue of turmoil while things happen around and to the main character. She is a character who does not herself move the plot along. The plot happens to her, and it is her inner dialogue and inner reactions that are the interesting part. Then, when you watch the movie, it is one girl's war against the capital, which is never, ever, ever the plot of those books. That is the propaganda plot that is cooked up by Coin for Katniss Everdeen, but that is 100% the plot of the first movie.
Okay, I gotta tell you, when you started that rant, I had my haunches up. I'm like, there is no way that this motherfucker is gonna convince me that the first one is not. I was ready to just shoot you down, but you are spot on correct. God damn it.
Like, here's the thing. It doesn't make the first movie a bad movie. It doesn't. It's a good movie in its own right. The thing that upsets me about the first movie. Yes, and so the movie will do things like the pita scene. It will show the pita scene with the bread, but without the inner dialogue from Katniss, without hearing that young girl try to plot of how she's going to kill this boy who saved her life, that scene barely registers to me as meaningful.
You're absolutely spot on, and there's so much about just strategic thinking. The idea of having the scene of her and the pregnancy, just the thought process of everything and the game theory and the thoughts and having to do it on the fly. The movie did no justice to the pregnancy.
Correct. That is the stuff that sells that book to me, is the cerebral experience of it, and instead it is a popcorn flick. Now, that works out way better for book 2, because in book 2 there is far more of a meta aspect to that. Book 2 is far less cerebral than book 1, because book 2 is now about all the other characters, because these are not characters that are being introduced for the sole purpose of killing them off at the end of the book. These are characters who have to survive several books. They need more establishment. They need as much, if not more, weight. And the events that happen in that book, in book 2, are events that happen around Katniss as opposed to events that happen to Katniss. A great example is the older gentleman in District 11 who gets shot by the Capitol.
Yeah.
That is an event that happens not to Katniss Everdeen, but around Katniss Everdeen. And having events that happen around your main character works way better when your story does not have to give us a ton of inner monologue and inner dialogue. And a movie, it's really hard to make a movie do inner dialogue in a way that doesn't seem cheesy and corny as fuck.
You're right. It's one of those things. It's not that it's a how do I want to put this? It's not that it's an unfaithful adaptation. It's just the movie has to be different.
Yeah, the movie has to be a different monster. And I understand why it has to be that, but the thing that it is naturally lesser than the thing that the book is. And that is because the thing that the book is an inner dialogue about the morphology, the game theory, and the turmoil of a static character who lets the world happen to her because she lives in a bubble that remains largely unchanged until a single moment happens where it is forced to be changed. She's Gohan.
Yes.
She is Katniss Everdeen is Gohan. She is a character who has interesting things happen to her, but she herself is not an interesting person. But the inner dialogue of how she has to cope with those things happening to her is what makes her interesting. And unfortunately, the movie doesn't do that. This is also why Gohan was not put in as the main character of Dragon Ball like Akira Toriyama wanted, because having a character who lets the world happen to them, he basically had two choices. Let the world continue to happen to Gohan and have an uninteresting protagonist, or change who Gohan is and deny what the character is supposed to be.
Yeah, you I can see why the choice was made.
You're making me go... Damn it, honey! You're making me walk. You're a jerk. You know that? Why are you such a jerk? Bohemian Lucy says, the movies are good for letting you see what's happening in the Capitol during the game. See, that's an interesting part about the movies for me, is that, I will say this, the books, as good as they are, they never sell you on the decadency of the Capitol. The idea that the Capitol is this giant, overly decadent, hyper-stimulating area of multiple unnecessary colors together, it really is not sold well in the books. In the movies, though, where you can get like the Technicolor overstimulation, that shit is on point. This is why I love movie 2, 3, and 4. I absolutely adore movie 2, 3, and 4. It's movie 1 that I feel drops the ball. And it's just because movie 1 as a movie can't be what the book was. It just can't be that. And it's not its fault for being a thing in a different medium.
Now, here's my one character I'm wondering, because it's later books and everything. Do you think the movies did justice for Joanna Mason?
So, Joanna Mason, she was the previous winner of the woodcutting district, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Joanna Mason, I think the books do a much better job of, only because that inner dialogue of Katniss getting jealous about Joanna, like, suckling up to Peeta, that really, really sells me on the charisma check that Joanna Mason is doing. In the movie, it's still pretty good, but the moment of her just kind of sitting there naked after taking the tree costume off, it doesn't hit the same way in the movie, and I don't know why. Like, yeah. I still like her, and I think that in the movie they do a damn good job of convincing me that this is a character who has definitely spec'd super high into deception and charisma.
You know what it is? I think I know what it is. In the movie, Joanna Mason's her own character. She's her own story, everything about that. In the books, Joanna Mason's a cautionary tale. She's Katniss in a parallel world.
She is a Katniss without her little sister.
Yes, exactly.
She is a Katniss without the skill set to survive, because one of Joanna Mason's defining traits is an inability to swim.
And so the movie does not portray Katniss and Joanna Mason as being the same coin, just different sides of it. They're just two separate people on two separate paths.
Forrest Wren says, is that the girl who stripped in the elevator? Yes. So Joanna, like Katniss, is a character who's along for the ride. That is why Katniss is doing what she's doing. She starts it out as a way to protect her little sister, and then after that, it is reality happening to her, and her doing things because she has to do them to survive, and therefore she's along for the ride. Other people are always making the decisions for her. President Snow, President Coin, the Game Masters, all of them, Cinna, they are all making decisions for her, and she is just having to follow through with them. Joanna Mason's doing the same exact shit. The only difference is Joanna Mason does not kid herself about that being what she's doing.
She doesn't have any roots. She's got no family. She doesn't have a little sister. She's got no reason to kid. She's got no reason to put on a face for someone.
Yeah. So I do think I like the book version of that character more, but if I'm being honest, I like the book version of every character more, except kinda sort of Haymitch. I think I like movie Haymitch more.
Oh, movie Haymitch is way better. Though that is until I haven't seen or I haven't read the newest book yet. But that's gonna be real interesting to see how they do the Haymitch victory ones. I haven't gotten to that book yet. It's my first thing I'm doing when I finish Overton.
I have a laundry list before I can get to that book because me and Saki are still in the middle of Dresden Files. And technically, I'm completely caught up on Dresden Files, but she's not, and we've been going through them together. And I will say, thank God the Halo books were so goddamn boring, because we had made our way through like 3 Halo books before we decided to drop them and go back to Dresden, and that cut the amount of things we were going through considerably. Which, I hate saying thank God a book series was boring, but it at least cut down the amount of to-dos there. Gideon says, how far are you to in Dresden Files? So currently we're reading Proven Guilty. We are currently at the point where every victim has been established. And, of course, I've already read, so I know who the perpetrator is in here. And that's... It's going to be fun when we get to that point. But because Saki has technically read ahead... She started reading the Dresden Files where I was reading, and I was reading just after Changes, so I was in Ghost Story. So she already knows a lot of the stuff that happens with Michael's daughter. So the fact that we're just at the book where she's a teenager, she kind of already knows what path that character's going to go down. So it's going to be interesting, but it's also... Technically, we already know, like, she knows what's going to happen with Murphy eventually. She knows what's going to happen with that character eventually. She knows about Mike and Michael and where he ends up in the end. So, like, the fact that Michael is the stalwart paladin wielding one of the nails of the cross right now, she knows where that story ends up. So...
Say thank you to whomever heard me say that I wanted to do a book chat and just brought up some good books.
Forrest Friend says, I read Stormfront in the Dresden series. Does Dresden ever get less misogynistic? Yes. So, fun fact. The writer behind Dresden, Jim Butcher, he wrote the first books of the Dresden Files as a school project when he was in college. And then he got married. And you can see the character of Dresden not only become less misogynistic, but be called out for those traits by the women around him. And it happens around the same time the author gets married. It's a really strange, funny coinkydink. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full-time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that. Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiriturian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.